Hey, Daryl here, and this is my daily devotional. Today we're going to see Joseph, the Joseph of the coat of many colors, go from the pit to the palace. He had interpreted the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker. The cupbearer, he was going to be restored to his position as bearing the cup for the Pharaoh. And the baker, well, yeah, he was hung from the tree and the birds ate his flesh. But the promise made by the cupbearer to Joseph was, yeah, when I get out of here, I'm going to tell Pharaoh what you have done. Well, 2 years passed, and Pharaoh has a couple dreams. And when he has the dreams, he calls in all the magicians and all the wise people in Egypt, and no one's able to interpret the dreams until finally it dawns on the cupbearer. Oh, I'm reminded of my grievance, he says. When I was in prison because you were mad at me, Pharaoh, there was a young Hebrew guy there who interpreted my dreams. So, Pharaoh calls for Joseph out of the dungeon. Now, Scripture tells us here in chapter 41 at verse 1, when 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. So he's been in there at least 2 more years since the time the cupbearer had his dream interpreted. So, now we see him, Joseph, with the opportunity to interpret Pharaoh's king. And this is what Pharaoh says. Can you interpret my dream? And I want you to hear what Joseph said, because I want especially this to hit your heart. If you are in any way engaged in ministry and serving others, if you are in any way engaged of doing for others as God would have you to do, I want this verse to hit your heart deeply. He says, in verse 16, I cannot do it. See, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream and no one can interpret it, but I have heard it said that you can. And Joseph said, I cannot do it. Whoa. What kind of phrase is that? I mean, he's trying to get himself out of the dungeon. And now he's asked, can you interpret my dreams? And he says, no, I cannot do it. But here comes that lovely 3-letter word, but. He said, but God. Yes. I can't do it. But God. Wow. Man, that speaks volumes to me, because there is so much in the ministry that God has called me to do over the years. And I reflect back and I think, how on earth did I ever accomplish that? I can't do that. And then I think, oh yeah, but God. Yeah, there's the answer. If you are trying to serve people, you can't. But God. See, he says, I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. So, verse 17, Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dreams I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin, and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none could explain it to me. And then Joseph said, well, you're going to have 7 years of good, fertile harvest. And then you're going to have 7 years of famine. And so we see where Joseph advises him, get somebody to maintain and to ration those 7 years of plenty. So you'll have 7 years of famine that you're prepared for. And none other than Joseph was given the job. Verse 39, then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. Man, from the pit to the palace. He went from the pit of the cistern his brothers thrown him in. He went to Potiphar's house where he was risen to the authority over the whole home. He was falsely accused of attempted rape, put into the pit of the dungeon. Now 2+ years later, he again rises now into the palace. How did Joseph do this? He didn't. But God. Oh, whenever you're challenged with something you don't know what to do, say, I can't. But God. God bless you. Good day.